Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. You know what I'm saying? So today, what I want to do is I kind of want to touch base on knowing which team you're on, and also kind of figuring out the frequency range that you figure you might be on. It's crazy. Just started, and here comes a fucking plane. Yeah, this shit is sick. If we can try this again. So what we want to do is we want to figure out, before you figure out the frequency you on, you have to figure out which team you're on, because the frequencies vary. So you can be with the demonic forces and be riding an extremely high frequency over there, if that makes any sense. It's been quiet till I got here and started doing this, I promise you. So just work with me with the noises in these airplanes flying through. Yeah, like I was saying, you have to figure out which team you are on. The demonic forces has different frequencies as well. So let's look at it like everything is out. Just look at it like a scale, and you have 0 in the lowest frequency this way, then you got 0 in the highest frequency this way. So 0 in the lowest frequency this way would be the opposition. So their highest frequency position is really like our lowest. You know, theirs is at that 0 marker, because everything else would be down in the negatives. So for us on the chosen end and moving with the creator, we are at our lowest frequency right at that 0 marker, but then we can go anything above infinity on the positive end of the spectrum. So what I like to do, and what I've always done, even when I was young, before I even had this information, I always self-reflected. I always rethought about the situation I just went through, or the interaction I just had with certain beings. I ain't gonna say I think. I know the biggest part of knowing which side, what team you on, comes down to how you are choosing to handle situations. So there'll be situations where you understand and understand that you have the ability to manipulate the situation in the detriment of other people, you know, at the cost and the price of other beings, but you never choose to side that way. You never choose to use your powers and abilities to hurt or to hinder other beings. That's always a huge sign of knowing which team you are. So once you understand that, let's say, okay, you know you one of them beings who always chose to use your powers and your abilities for good. When you are this, I don't know who over here talking to me, but I respect it. I hear you. All right, just listen. Look, this happens. Before I start researching and digging, I would have believed or just assumed that I was crazy or I was tripping, and I probably wouldn't even have discussed it with anybody or said anything, because it would have just seemed like it would have been too many coincidences lining up, and they'd be like, oh, this nigga crazy. But like I was saying, that will help you determine where you're at on, first of all, based on which team you riding with, and then second of all, it'll help you understand which frequency you are. So for me, I understood at, I would say, my teenage years, I really had an understanding which team I was on. I used to think it was principles, morals, and values that I always stood on, that was like solid, which it was, but I didn't know that those were that was the recipe for moving with the creator or God. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand that at the time. I just knew I felt strong about it. That's all I knew, is I felt really strong about it, and I always rode that way. So when I knew that, I didn't know what frequency I was on. All I understood was that I'm not moving with that witchy shit. Whatever that witchy shit is that them demons and them oppositions be doing, I don't move or coincide with that. It's been plenty of situations where in front of people, I could have used my abilities to manipulate some shit and I didn't. It's been plenty of situations where nobody was around, you know, besides me and certain other beings, and I could have manipulated situations, and I chose not to manipulate situations in the detriment or to take advantage of other beings. But I just say all of that to say, like, I like to give examples of my own life. So I say all of that to say, like, that allowed me to understand which team I was on. I didn't know what frequency I was on. I just knew that, okay, this is the team that I'm riding for. I feel very, very, very strong about it. It's really hard to, like, turn my perspective or my values somewhere else. Now, you can add to it. I done ran into other chosen ones and God's chosen ones and things like that, and they added on to what I had already, or what I have going on. So even if it wasn't something physical and tangible, it was something spiritual, some food for thought that helped me think and dig a little bit deeper than an angle that I didn't see. But once I understood which team I was on, okay, I'm not on the 0 and negative side team, I'm on the 0 and positive side team. So when you understand that, that's why it feels so infinite. When you feel like you can do anything, like when you're riding with the creator and the opposition. Once I knew that this is who I'm with, now it was like, all right, so how do I move up in the gang? You know what I'm saying? This gang over here, you know what I'm saying? We riding with the creator fully all the way through. So I'm like, all right, bet, this is who I'm riding with. Now I understand this. Okay, so how do I move up in the rankings, or like, how do I figure out like where my placement is at? You know what I'm saying? I won't recommend psychedelics to anybody, but if you are able to access them, change the condensation, the fucking reference points around it. It is not what these people make it out to be. But I understood that, okay, I'm vibrating on this frequency right here. I'm not at 0. Okay, I'm in the pluses. I'm in the positives. So now I have to figure out which number I am, because I know, like, I'm doing and I know more than average. So that's how I know I'm above and beyond that 0 marker. You know what I'm saying? So, but I also haven't been in this long enough to know that, like, I'm through infinity and beyond yet. You know what I'm saying? So I still know, like, I'm in that guesstimate middle range. You know, I'm not a nuance to this, and I'm also not, I'm not old. I'm not 67 years old. You know, you have to live these experiences as well. But that kind of helped me get a better understanding of these frequencies and where I'm at. Having a better understanding of these frequencies and where I'm at helps with interacting with other beings. Because when I'm interacting with other beings, I automatically have to place them somewhere in the frequency. Once I place you somewhere in the frequency, first I have to place you on a team. First I place you on a team, then I place you on a frequency. We have to identify. So unfortunately, that's just what it is. If anybody ran across me, and wanted to place me on the bad team, my fruits from my tree would show them otherwise. It wouldn't be possible. So that's why it's hard to place false judgments on people when they're walking in their light. It's not gonna really be possible. You can try to do it, but it wouldn't be the smartest tactic to do. So what you have to do is you have to figure out which team they're on before you start arguing and bickering and going back and forth, because you have to manage your energy the best way you know how to. You know, until you start learning different tactics and methods, so that way you can get it down faster. You know what I'm saying? So that also, these tactics that I'm also naming also plays a factor into building up your discernment and your intuition. These are things that'll help with that thing. So for me, it helps when I'm communicating and I can figure out, okay, say I just walk into a store, like, and the clerk is being witchy or some shit. You know, instead of me fucking getting frustrated, I just automatically pin him on a team, pin him on a frequency, and then I move accordingly, you know? And then I'm usually trying to shift their frequency. If they are on fucking -50, then I'm gonna pull their frequency to -20, -10. I may not be able to pull them all the way out because they with the oppositions. You know, if you're not with the opposition and you're with the creator, you only sit at 0. We have to have a matrix 10. You only sit at 0. It's people that are with the creator, but they are just kind of lost with no direction. Everybody isn't a leader. So it's people that want to ride this way, but because of the opposition is in charge right now, that's the whole purpose of this going on now. You have to do the research and you have to be due diligence. You have to do, you have to dive as deep as possible. It's a spiritual war going on. So if you're just gonna be allowing your energy to get wasted, then shit, waste that shit over here with me. I promise you, like, I'm gonna put that energy to use. We leveling up, we raising this motherfucking frequency as high as we possibly can. You know what I'm saying? But these are like some tactics for you to understand which frequency you are on. You know, you have to correlate it with your own personal experiences and how you handle situations. Did you have a situation in your past time where you was a little bit weaker and submissive and you kind of just rolled with the oppositions? Or was you in a position where you stood up stronger against everybody in a position where you felt like they might have all pounced or the situation would have been turned against you, but because the creator gave you that strength when you stood up, it was just kind of overbearing and outpowering. It just kind of moved everybody over to the side. The process, you know. So these are all things that I feel like are extremely important in our everyday life. If it's a war going on, you need to know who's on your team and who's not on your team. If you understand who's on your team, then you need to figure out what frequency you are on. I ain't want to run it up too long, you know what I'm saying? Peace to the kings and queens.